Welcome to another episode of Coaching Football with Brian Clee.
Hope you're ready for the heat here in episode 16. Going to be talking about pressures from base 3 for personnel. Let's get the fun started.
My philosophy regarding the use of pressures on defense was greatly changed after giving up 70 points to Kalamazoo United in Week 6 of the 2018 season. Our game plan, which we had used in previous seasons with decent success against them, was to focus on containing the quarterback, playing coverage in the back end, forcing them to catch the ball, come up, make tackles, keeping that ball in front of us, and really trying to make them execute the length of the field. And clearly, as the film and the score indicates, it wasn't effective. So when we had a rematch in Week 10, the opening round of the playoffs here in Michigan, we knew we had to make some changes to hopefully disrupt their time and speed up their execution and give our guys a legitimate chance at being more successful in that rematch. These guys were no joke. They were averaging 55 points per game going into that Week 10 rematch. Their quarterback was on his way to throwing 56 touchdown passes, which is a record in the state of Michigan. He eventually would walk on at Western Michigan and is now a safety there. One of his 1,000-yard receivers was an all-state track and field guy, won the 110 through the 300 hurdles, and the high jump is now at the University of Michigan as a decathlete. And the other receiver in the slot, he ended up playing quarterback his senior year. Very dynamic, explosive guy. He's a preferred walk-on the Michigan football team now. And they didn't go out in the playoffs until they faced the eventual state champs in 2018, Hudsonville Unity Christian. I'm going to be a little faster paced with the film than normal. Here, first snap, they're getting what they saw on the Week 9 scouting report. We're going to pinch our fours into B-gap. We're going to bring an outside backer. We're playing man. Playoffs, it's a little bit colder. He puts the first ball in the turf. Successful. Their slot is not running for a big gain. Second play, we're going to bring an attack from our will linebacker. Our 4 technique to the field, C-gap responsible. Our outside backers ready to peel with the running back. And the pressure gets home. We get multiple guys hitting the quarterback. Great effort out of our secondary. The ball comes out. We give ourselves a chance at a big turnover early on in the game. Next snap, we're running what we call a cross-attack blaze. Again, Will linebacker's running an A-gap blitz, but he's crossing over to the strong side. And then our boundary outside linebacker's looping. Don't think the pressure gets there this time. They're going to throw. They get the one-on-one here. We put our track guy on their track guy. He's communicating about the pass protection zone. Doesn't want to get hit again. Ball comes out. And heck of a catch. We're at least contesting it, something we didn't do in the Week 6 game. Now we're going to go with double cannon attack, pinching our fours. Don't have success on this play. Weakness of man coverage, definitely, if you are not doing it all the time, is a bubble in getting that leverage. We like to use inside leverage in man, so both of the receivers have leverage on our safety in our corner. We do rally to it. We've really worked on that week of practice, making sure we rallied to the ball and pursued the best we can. So now 22, our 2 techniques inside, they're going to cross over to B-gap, and we're going to run a double and attack with our inside linebackers. Once again, the field outside linebacker, our stud outside linebacker, he's responsible. He's blitz peeling off that running back. Here comes the pressure, and we get home. We get a hit. He throws the ball long. We had decent coverage. It's incomplete. So now they come back. They're in doubles. We're running the exact same thing. I'm like, hey, we got a hit on the quarterback. Let's try it again. So I'm communicating. Definitely throwing off their timing somewhat. And now we get a hit on the quarterback. We actually knock him out. His hip, I believe, was sore going into that game. And not that you want to see a kid hurt, but it's a physical game. We want to have some fun running around hitting people. Not successful when they put their slot receiver in at quarterback. They run a speed option, which turns into sweep. But we're making them execute way more than what they had to last time. Quarterback returns. So now we're going to get fades. Not covered, great, but the ball came out way earlier. We've sped up the clock of that quarterback. I'm completely convinced that we're in his head a little bit. Next call, attack on the backside, and we're running that loop again. They come out in a 2-back set. Something that they've done around the goal line before. And our nose comes across. He cuts off the polar, makes a great play in the backfield, and we have a 0-yard gain. So now we're at 4th and 2. They're going to go speed option here. And if you watch our outside linebacker, our stud right here, he hesitates for a second. He, I think, was initially going to that running back. Our inside linebacker said he made an ace call, which means he's responsible for the running back, and the inside linebackers on the quarterback as well with all the pursuit. And that little bit of hesitation ended up letting the ball get outside him. Not what the inside linebacker expected. The running back's a step faster, and he's going to make it into the end zone. So we at least saw a 4th down. As much as I like pressures, they are not a substitute for great base defense, in my opinion. I've had the most success calling a pressure when I'm effectively mixing it in as a curveball to more aggressively attack the offensive execution with some extra attitude, to let the front 7 play a little bit more free and just have fun chasing after the ball and hitting. I mean, that's why we're playing defense. That's why guys are on the defensive side of the ball. When you're calling your pressures, you should always be considering your coverages and designing the coverage to work with that pressure. You need to make sure that all receiving threats, and especially hot routes to immediate vertical threats, are covered. And you should always make sure that any pressure still soundly is accounting for all gaps and is still going to set the edge with contain or force players. We've used 2 different types of coverage philosophies. In the past, we used to have our 3 deep, 3 under version of sky coverage, like just about everyone seems to have. The corners and the boundary deep safety would be playing the deep thirds, while the field free safety is going to roll down and play the seam of 2, while the linebackers are going to control 3 and the seam of 2 to the boundary. More recently, we've played more cover 0 as we feel it better fits a 2-high shell, and our secondary takes pride and is confident in their ability to play man coverage. In any man pressure, it becomes really important that the linebackers make an ace or queen call for us, which I'll talk about later, to determine blitz peel and option and other responsibilities. As I previously mentioned in this video, want to go a little faster pace, make sure we get through clips of all the pressures we've used over the past 5 or so years. If there's something you want me to cover more in depth or you got a question, contact me via Twitter or email or leave a comment down below. 3 deep, 3 under coverage. Most teams are going to have both their corners play the deep outside thirds and roll their boundary safety to the deep middle third. Their field safety is going to roll down and play the curl flat, which makes them primarily responsible for the release of number 2. One of the field linebackers are going to control the hook zone, which makes them primarily responsible for the immediate release of number 3. And then on the boundary side, one of the linebackers are going to control that curl flat area, primarily responsible for the immediate release of number 2. As far as this pressure is concerned, a little word association for Blizzard. We're bringing it from the boundary side with our Bob linebacker off the edge, and the L, we're long sticking the 4 technique from the boundary to hopefully open up that Mac linebacker. What happens a lot with long sticks is either the guard and sometimes the tackle will both end up wasting blocks on the long stick and get one or both of the linebackers clean. Before we look at this pressure and the success in the sack that we get, The reason I haven't been using 3 deep, 3 under coverage as much lately is, number one, we're primarily a 2 high team, and number two, we weren't soundly covering this play and some of our other pressures. What we should have, that corner should be rolling to the deep third. He does. The safety should be pushing to the middle third. The field safety should be coming down to control the curl flat, and the corner should be bailing to the deep third. The linebackers to the field, not in the pressure, should be controlling number 3, so pushing there. And then this was before we started cross blazing our linebackers. This linebacker really needs to push all the way over to number 2 to the boundary. So we don't get that, and just because this play and a couple others, I haven't been using those as much lately. It's something we're looking at, but just haven't used lately. As far as this pressure, keep an eye on the long stick by the 4 technique and the will linebacker coming through the B gap here. The guard pulls, so that linebacker comes through clean. Strip sack, we recover. Fun play, even though the coverage wasn't ideal. We got there. Monsoon is a double A-gap pressure with the inside linebackers. They're going to cross over the center, put that center on an island, and if our 5 tech could break down and make the play, we got something huge. Quarterback gets flushed, puts the ball up, and we do end up coming up with the pick. That safety in the deep third there goes and makes a play. End zone shot. There we go. Center can't be right, especially in a 5-man protection. And we know the result of the play. So now lightning is long stick from the long side of the field. So our stud linebacker off the edge. Our 5 technique or 4 technique is going to run the long stick to the A gap. We're trying to get one of the linebackers clean through B gap. What happens on this one, this was back when we played even front, our 5 technique is going to drop out to the curl flat and reroute number 2. And because of that, that offensive tackle gets left on an island. Never picks up a meaningful block. Our 3 technique controls the B gap and contains the quarterback from rolling out. Our stud from the field gets there, as well as that 3 technique. Here's another example of how our coverage was minimally sound. Our corner and safety aren't clearly communicating sky. That corner should be bailing and the safety should be coming up. It looks like they're running cloud coverage instead of sky coverage, which is not terrible, but number 1 is running with way too much room in my opinion. And then additionally, we were bringing the boundary inside linebacker all the way out to control number 3. Number 3 is in motion. It's actually number 3 is in motion, and they're running a flood concept. That's a big time push to get all the way to that hole. Luckily, the pressure is enough that the quarterback throws it a little bit short. And this is another play that shows why we got away from 3 deep, 3 under stuff. The pressure can't get there because it's a quick bubble. Our safety's rolling down, and again, we're not a primarily 1 high team. We base out at 2 high. That safety needs to work to the outside of number 2 and force the bubble back inside. We still rally and make sure the play doesn't score, but they do end up picking up the first down with about a 14-yard gain. Probably the simplest way to bring some extra pressure is running one of the inside linebackers on an A-gap blitz between the 1 and the 3 technique. On this particular clip, we're in our hard coverage, cover 2 to the wing side. We're going to bring the boundary linebacker through A-gap, and he comes clean on the boot pass to make the sack. End zone shot. So it's just hitting our gaps. Again, hard cover 2. We're in man. Since there's no immediate receiving threat, that safety can help rob. That guard is pulling. We come through clean, make the sack, for a 4-yard loss. We'll also run it out of against empty looks out of our slant, which is movement to an underfront. Really important if you're playing stress, which is our version of cover 4, that when you're bringing the other inside linebacker, the linebacker to the trip side has to understand he's always controlling the final number 3. So if you get some sort of crossing route, he needs to run with it because you're in man on the opposite side. So we're going to be, I believe we're in man to the field here. We're bringing the linebacker through the A gap, nose into the other A gap. Linebacker shows up early, eats up the block of the running back, and our stud linebacker falls in on it off his blitz peel responsibilities. That stud linebacker, he's technically D-gap. He doesn't have a responsibility. We're slanting to the trip side of the formation. Nothing comes out. He ends up working to the sack. Here we are later in the game. Actually have empty here. Pretty obvious our linebacker's coming. He shows up and makes a heck of a play. Big sack on 4th and 7. Again, we're in our stress cover 4 to the field. We're manned up on the boundary side here, and we're immediately clean. When we bring 6 or really 7, you need to make sure you have clear blitz peel and option responsibilities. We do that with a quick ace or queen call. If we call ace, that outside linebacker is saying, I have that ace back, and the inside linebacker's on the quarterback if we get speed option. If that running back ever blocks, that outside linebacker can add himself in to the blitz. If we make a queen call, we're going to swap those responsibilities. That outside linebacker's working to the quarterback on something like speed option or the inside threat, while the inside linebacker has the ace. So simple. Let's put 5 guys on the line of scrimmage. Most important part of all of this is understanding who's got to take the running back if he swings. Outside linebacker matches him on the swing and makes a big hit for an incompletion. If we pinch and from our double 4 look, or we could be doing it from our nose 54, trying to just make sure we take care of all the gaps, keep the quarterback in the pocket. And because we're in man outside, we ended up making the quarterback pull it down. He doesn't like it. We've collapsed the pocket, and our edge outside backer and our 4 technique pinching come up and make the play. So now against doubles, if we get pistol, we like to call the double cannon a little bit more often and leave both inside linebackers responsible for that running back. Once again, our 4 technique comes there late on the pinch after everybody does their job containing that quarterback. Nose gets rerouted. 4 technique falls off. Nose flushes him back to the 4 technique. Great team sack by the front 5 there. It's a good call against option. 4 technique takes the dive. The outside backer takes the quarterback. And we do a great job here on the perimeter of keeping leverage after I get blocked, coming up and actually forcing the fumble by Caleb. End zone shot of the same thing. Really speeds up that read on inside veer or zone read. Ball's got to come out fast. Just lets those secondary guys get off their blocks a little bit earlier. Here we are against 2x2. You see both inside linebackers peel. Well, just work to their seams, and it causes the quarterback to pull it down. Great job by our 0 and our 4 technique of using their pass rush technique. Right there, they're both opening up the hips of the offensive lineman. They turn the corner completely. They get their hips all the way past that lineman and start to turn for the quarterback. And our 4 technique that was squeezing on the top ends up getting the quarterback when he tries to scramble up the middle. The next pressure combines the double C-gap edge rushers with an attack in the A-gap by one of our inside linebackers. What it does, it creates a bunch of one-on-ones for the defense. You see our MAC linebacker, he is completely clean through the A-gap, going to hit the quarterback, force the ball out, and our nose scoops it, and James is going to go all 38 some yards for a big score at a crucial part of the game to kind of help put the game away. And that's just fun. Right now, every guy is pumped that as a team we got that touchdown. We got James to have a scoop and score opportunity that he capitalized on. We'll also use it against the T. Big philosophy is we've been playing base defense against these guys the entire night. And I am going to mix in an A-gap blitz opposite the nose. Linebacker comes through completely on block, completely unaccounted for, and it's a 4-yard loss. End zone shot of the same thing. That nose he's a quality player. He's good. He's going up against a center that he's a junior at this time, but he's going to go on and play football at Central Michigan. We've just won because we put our linebacker into the backfield. We ate up the block of one of their better blockers. Big loss. Crucial. Puts them 3rd and 14. Once again, ball comes out now. We're going to put them at 4th and 12 from the 50, getting off the field. End zone shot, unfortunately, gets cut off. We'll do this out of our nose 44 or nose 54. We're going to double pinch both the B gaps. Bring the linebacker through A gap. Pocket collapses. And we're in great position. We force that ball out early. We don't have to cover real long. We're in great position on the back end with inside leverage, speeding up the clock of that quarterback. And we get a hit on the quarterback on top of that. Four techniques clean. Anytime you get somebody clean to that quarterback, speeding up that time, and that's a good situation for the defense. Coming off the edge, force the quarterback back. He's retreating. He can't get the ball up. Great end zone shot. End zone cams right there. You see our MAC linebacker. He's replacing the stud linebackers off the edge. We've got contain. Nothing available. Arguably that is intentional grounding, but inside veer, tight end. We're able to make the play. Four techniques down, tackling the dive. Doesn't matter what the offensive formation is, we're going to put guys in both C gaps, both B gaps, both A gaps. Last man pressure out of our odd front, we're going to slant and just bring both linebackers through the B and the A gap. This is a case of maybe a little bit too simple. Our MAC linebacker is normally our will linebacker. Him and the starting MAC linebacker, both of them are playing fullback and tight end, so we're getting them rotated through on defense here. He doesn't understand in our stress coverage. He should be calling off his blaze. We should only have an attack on. He decides to go anyways, gets there in under 2 seconds and forces the bad throw to our outside linebacker. It's a simple slant everybody on the front. For whatever reason, our Bob linebacker decided to bail out and play our read coverage over there. We are in the quarterback's face right now, 2 seconds into the play. Our outside linebacker broke on the ball. Don't like where number 3 is in relationship to our safety. Again, our MAC linebacker should be bailing out, but you can't simulate that in summer 7-on-7. That pressure is going to get there in just 2 seconds. The timer at summer 7-on-7, it's not 2 seconds. Against 2x2, more of the same. We got to have that blitz peel all the time. And this is ideal for that blitz peel because that outside backer really doesn't have a gap. He's D-gap responsible. His 5 technique's working out the C-gap. If our linebacker on the field side would stay on his feet, we probably had a sack. Instead, the play gets extended. We give ourselves a chance at that sack, though. That quarterback is definitely looking, and he sees that his running back is matched on the swing. So he puts his foot in the ground, and like I said, we unfortunately fall down, don't keep contained, and he scrambles to throw an 11-yard completion. Good job by our gals rallying to the ball. Really like this against the run game. Again, we're just hitting all our gaps in our normal slant odd front. We got contain both sides, flattening that quarterback out. There's the kid that was wide receiver. He's now playing quarterback. We force him to throw the ball away. He gets called for intentional downing because there's no such thing as a pocket in high school ball. Great job by our outside backer, Justin, really working. Probably not pass interference, and he's throwing that ball to nobody. You can't do that in high school ball. Got to play great man coverage, one of those considerations. You got to have your safeties understanding. I'm responsible for that bubble. I'm going to come downhill, big hit. That's fun. While man coverage can be susceptible to screens, if you're playing 5x2, 6x2, you can get there, especially if the splits are wide. Power read to the bottom of the screen here. Ends up sneaking through for a yard. Our 5 technique does a great job of forcing that ball back inside, and we run it down from behind. Nice job by the attack getting there. Here we're coming. We missed the tackle at first, flushing from the pocket. We still rally, 3-yard loss. And again, it's as much thanks to great coverage on the fake jailbreak go. I think both DBs ended up staying on the deep route as we got there with the pressure. Hit all our gaps up front. Flush them to the B gap. There's our 4 technique. Jonah in our nose. David gets there. We make the play. We got Sweet coming to the offensive left. Stretch the play out. Corner comes up, sets the edge, and I believe that's our it's a big guy Cole running over, pursuing from the backside 4, knocking his buddy down. Yeah, it's the Blaze, gets through, works to his B gap, replaces, tracks to the near hip, almost overruns it, but he makes the tackle. Running it, again, not ideally correct. This guy should be checking out of it. We do have 3 for 3 over here. A crossing route would put us in a little bit of trouble. But the aggression and the pressure is more important sometimes than the coverage. As long as you got everybody covered, it doesn't have to be perfect all the time. And they all goes just a little bit long. Called out. And it's all because that outside linebacker sets the edge. We're hitting all our gaps. Quarterback has to give quite a bit of ground. We're in a good spot. Could do a better job on the backside of really getting in our A gaps. Maybe get all the way there on the pressure if we do. And I don't know. They didn't have a good angle to review it. Nor do they review in high school ball in the regular season. We still incorporate some pressures out of our even front. One of them is simply sending 2 linebackers through both B gaps, leaving the tackles in A gap and the ends in C gap. Typically, if I'm worried about that running back swinging or working to either side, I'm going to put the inside linebacker on that running back, that number 3 receiver. B gap to the bottom of the screen, picks off the pulling guard, lets our 5-tech end come clean, and we make the tackle for a 4-yard loss. An attack blaze is simply getting in our overfront and hitting our open gaps with the linebackers. Watch the coverage on the sideline clip here. Right now, both the safety is on top inside leverage, the corner's on top inside leverage. Makes the quarterback pull the ball down. See the great box out technique that our head coach, DB coach, works on with the DBs all the time, and we come up with the sack. End zone shot to see the pressure now. Just hit our open gap right there. That's a beautiful shot as a defensive coordinator. You got both C's, both B's, both A's. Our will linebacker on the boundary side ends up ripping underneath the tackle's block. Flushes the quarterback to our end in C gap, our Bob linebacker, in C gap, and our 2 technique tackle shows up. And I just love the excitement, the energy. There's our MAC linebacker. He's pumped, he's enthused, he's having fun. That's what we're trying to do when we pressure. This is late in a drive against our rival. They ended up using an empty set, and I could only pressure with 5 guys and be sound in that empty set. So we put the Bob outside linebackers, actually a defensive back. He came on and we were just going to go straight 5 DBs covered up man to man against empty. Our corner tells him, hey, line up here on the tight end. We're still running our attack blaze. We hit our open gaps. Ball comes out. Big play to end the drive. And again, we're pumped. We're having fun. Big play against our rival. Lots of fun. Last pressure, what we call blaze attack. We're going to make either a bowl, so both interior guys are going to the left, or a bear call, both interior guys are going to the right. I like to send them away from the running back, just so that way that running back really spills to the sideline, and our outside linebacker, either our stud to the field, our will to the boundary, is going to be man-to-man on that running back. So right now, we put our 3 technique to that tight end side since the running back's not offset. And we come clean. So right now we're making that bear call. 3 technique rips to the A gap, completely unblocked. Making a tackle for loss, a little help from the inside linebacker on his side. We don't get the front called completely correct here. We're still sound. I'd like us to be moving to the left instead of the right. But we hit all our gaps. Wheel linebacker comes through clean. Pocket collapses. Quarterback has to pull it down. So again, we should be lined up with our 3 technique on the right, 2 eye to the left. We line it up the other way. We still make the bear call to get the stunt across the face of each of the guards. 3 tech in A gap, B gap linebacker clean, pocket collapsing. Quarterback pulls it down. we stay in coverage, and we get a big sack. Thanks for checking out this episode. Just a couple quick points. Number one, let's make sure your pressures are simple and fun for your guys, that you're accounting for all the gaps up front, and then more importantly on the back end, just as much a part of the pressure itself is the coverage.
As always, guys, if you have questions or comments, please leave them down below. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Check me out and follow me on Twitter at Coach Klee. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. And if you have anything that maybe requires a longer response, hit me up at coachbrienklee@gmail.com. Thanks as always for tuning in. See you again.